parents about what is happening in our community. Our last podcast we had actually was a kind of a town hall that featured some of our political leaders, including the Montgomery County Executive Mark Elrich, who, as some of us know, here in Maryland and Montgomery County, has just won a recent tough re-election against a millionaire and who was trying to take kind of the community in a different direction. So we're glad that the County Executive Elrich was able to keep his position, and he joined us along with a number of other leaders, including a professor from the dean of the School of Education at Virginia State University. And we talked about how this is a record of parents, or not parents, but teachers leaving the classrooms. And we talked about why that might be. And we talked also about to law enforcement leaders, including a sister who was running for the state's attorney's position here in Montgomery County. Bernice was talking to us about how Bernice North, that is, Attorney Bernice North, was talking about how we have to do some things different in order to incentivize and encourage our young people to, go away from some of the conduct that leads to violence. And so we have come up with some really interesting ideas about how to do that. And we're going to be talking about that at our upcoming cyber summit during the Congressional Black Caucus Week. So if you haven't gotten your tickets for that, definitely go ahead and do so. And in addition, we have, in addition to the Cyber Summit, we have a hackathon taking place that same weekend for all of our students. So we have a lot going on here at STEM4US, and we want you to be a part of it. And one of the great things we have is we have a great conversation with somebody who has a beautiful story to share with you. So without any further ado, let me bring on to STEM4US's Cyber Podcast, Abby Hussein. Abby, how are you doing, brother? So, Abby, can you hear me? Because I can't hear you.
Apologies. I think I was on mute. I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
That happens sometimes. We are on mute and we think that we're talking, but in fact, not only talking to ourselves, right?
Right.
Excellent. Well, again, if you are with us, we want you to share this conversation with any of your friends. If you're not already subscribed to the platform, we want you to make sure you subscribe so you can get a reminder about any other guests that we have coming up. All of our other guests are, again, quality people just like Abby. We want you to be able to connect with them. And if you support this conversation, if you support what STEM4US is doing, then we want you to go on to our website, and we're going to drop that in the chat. We want you to go and join us as one of our partners. We can only get this work done with partners, parents, people who want to build families who are not yet parents, people who are professionals and who see a need to increase the mentoring, particularly of our youth, and people who are just afraid of every day being carjacked, perhaps because our youth are out of control. These are the types of people, if you are fitting into any of these buckets, we want you to basically go on to our website and support us, because we have some great ideas about how to prevent this violence and also address the nation's shortage of cyber workers. So with that said, Abby, if I was going to be basically, first of all, where are you beaming into from today?
Okay, I'm dialing in from Silver Spring, Maryland. And yeah, my home in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Excellent. We're grateful that you could join us. We have had people from all over the country, so I always have to start that off. Like where you zooming in, if you will, or broadcasting in. So with that in mind, if I was going to pick up a book called The Making of Abby Hussein, and I was going to start at kind of like the beginning, of where you came from, and particularly your college years. What would that kind of give me a quick 3-minute summary of how that book might read?
It would be pretty a work in progress. When I first started my college career, I had one goal in mind into study computer engineering, and I kind of got distracted along the way, um, working part time as well as trying to continue my studies as well. So I had some some obstacles as well that maybe derailed me, but I could have done a better job of being focused. If I know what I know now, I may have done things differently. And it did take me 10 years to graduate from my undergraduate degree, but I would say the story would mean perseverance, would be a story of perseverance, a story of, not quitting, a story of, you know, the
Can you tell us a little bit about, you say, oh, it took you 10 years. And sometimes when you say that, people think, oh, almost kind of like, oh, it's an embarrassment or something like that. But it's not. I mean, and I think there's a story behind that I would like for you, if you wouldn't mind, share with some of our students in terms of what are the obstacles that you ran into and how you overcame them. You mentioned, and maybe you can share a little bit, did did you have to work to put yourself through college? Can you talk a little bit about that?
so so I did start working. I was working part time as a computer technician or computer sales specialist at Circuit City when I first started, and then that was for about a year, and then afterwards I transitioned into a position at a Marriott hotel in downtown DC, and I was working as a night auditor and front desk agent. So oftentimes I would work at night. Um, on the night shift. The night shift is starting at 11:30 and completing at 7 a.m. And then sometimes I would finish that shift and uh, go straight to campus to attend a class. And you know, when I said that I could have done things a little bit differently, that's maybe one of the parts because you know, going to class with no sleep, um, it's not this, it's not an ideal situation for learning. And you know, night is good. It's intended for it's for sleeping. So, uh, uh, but that's one of the challenges I would say. But I would say more than anything, it would be my own, you know, management. I could have done a better job as far as managing my time better, and also distractions. I would get into some things that were not beneficial, and so whether that be playing video games or staying up late on my own, that may have not helped me. So
You know what? It's funny that you said that, Brother Abby, because and I see Sister Malia has joined us. I'm like Sister Malia. She's so beautiful. And Sister is really doing a wonderful job. And we look forward to actually having Sister Malia on our podcast as well. But one of the things that I talked about in the lecture this morning at the masjid is about what you just said about how some of us have worked. We call ourselves working more than any other person, right, trying to be the best at working hard, but we're not working smart. In fact, what we do sometimes is actually we're working in such an imbalanced way that we say that we're doing this for the sake of the Almighty. For those of us who are Muslims, so we say we do it for the sake of Allah, but in fact we're actually being tricked by Shaitan, the devil, because we're not even basically we're not even doing it in the right way. First of all, when we say we go and pray, our mind is thinking about something else. So we're not even praying to Allah. We're actually praying to ourselves, or praying to the person who had wronged us, or paying to the money we want to basically make, right? And going to our bodies. We're not giving our bodies their rights, right? Because we're not sleeping at the time that we should be sleeping. As you know, the best of all of mankind, the Prophet Muhammad, when he actually went to sleep, he went to sleep right after the last prayer, and then he shut down. He didn't stay up all night, 2, 3, 4 o'clock. He did get back up at night to pray again, but he went to sleep sometimes 8, 9, 10 o'clock. And then he had a siesta after he woke up for the morning prayer, like about 4 or 5, 5 o'clock or so, 5, 6 o'clock. And then he stayed up until noon, and then he actually went back to sleep. But he had a beautiful life, and he was the best husband because he also gave his family, he gave his wife her rights, and that's something that we don't do. Can you tell me a little bit? If that all does that resonate with you at all? Would that be one of the lessons that you share with our young people who might be listening to you?
Yeah, I would say that, yeah, it's definitely, yeah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is, you know our best example, as Muslims. So using that as an example, absolutely, would say there's a wisdom behind you know sleeping on time, and that way your day can be aligned with the prayer. As you know, Muslim prays 5 times a day, and the Fajr prayer, the dawn prayer, um, that prayer should be the start of your day, and it should not be a prayer that you get up to and needing to go back to sleep, to get the couple of hours that you missed from the night before. It should be the start of your day, um, and hopefully a productive day. So if we're able to align our day, to the prayer, or schedule it around the prayer, you know, and follow the example of the Prophet Muhammad, then uh, we would be in a better situation, in my opinion.
And I really appreciate that perspective that you brought to the table because a lot of people are working in an imbalanced way, including myself, especially myself, and I definitely just ask the Almighty to forgive me for all of my basically silliness. Sometimes I would be basically working so hard that I would get to the dinner table late almost every day, and it would frustrate my wife because the food would be really good, and warm, and by the time I got there, the food was cold. Because again, in my mind, I'm doing for her, I'm doing for the family, but in fact, I'm doing the opposite. I'm destroying the family. And may Allah, protect my family and strengthen us. But tell me, with that in mind, what is an average day like in your life? And how do you try to work for that balance that we've been talking about this morning?
Uh, Average day in my life is pretty much, you know, you know, trying to um, work, and um, yeah, try to.
Give me some examples, if you could, of like some of the projects that you have to do, and like how do you fit that? You wake up. You said in the morning. Do you? How does that day work for you? If you were to give like a schedule, if you will, of your day.
Yeah, just wake up with begin with a prayer, and you know if and do some Quran reading, and then start my work day, uh, and that begins with checking emails, and taking any action that needs to be taken. I work in an operational environment, so, and when it comes to systems and operations, the maintenance of the systems could be, it's a 24-hour responsibility. So there may be a time where it may not be between that 9 to 5 window, but because we need that system to run functionally, um, it may require some action or monitoring before or after hours. So so um, just focusing on that, and also besides that, just trying to um, you know learn as much as I can. I'll listen to a podcast. you know for example, Cyberwires is one that I listen to, just to try to get some keep in touch with what's going on. And I may listen to news podcasts as I'm checking my emails, and then yeah, start the workday. And it's pretty much nonstop within the day, with um, whether it be task or meetings. Yeah, yeah, and
Well, we got like a little comment here that says from Cordelia that she also likes to start her day the same way you start your day. So you're in good company. And Sister Cordelia, we look forward to hopefully getting you on our podcast actually, because I know you're doing some wonderful work. Now, tell me, in terms of the projects that you have to do, what's a typical project? First of all, what is a support engineer? I know I called you a software support engineer because I don't think a lot of people even know what software engineers are. Quite frankly, I mean, they've heard of it, but they don't know what a software engineer does. And then, what does a support engineer do? Give me a little bit about that. Can you tell me?
yeah. So support engineer is, uh, I would say, it is a mix between software engineer, where there are some coding problems and work to resolve them, and develop code, and a mix between that and like a help desk engineer. So in my role, I do help with user support requests, fulfilling their request, if any technical issue they may have at the tier 2 level or tier 3 level, um, and also um, maintaining a software uh, in particular, like PL SQL, and Python. The program that I'm working on, or that I assist with, is a database system that takes in submissions from sponsors, and FDA reviewers, um, require on that information, to make their assessment. So and my role is to make sure that content is available to the FDA reviewers so that they can perform their jobs and their roles. And the data that we um, maintain, partly, is related to COVID data. So during this pandemic, there was a quite a bit of a surge in data, um, more than the system was designed to take. So
Hold on first.
we
I
yeah.
don't know if I don't know if you actually given us a background on where you work and exactly what you do in terms of. So where do you work again?
So I work at the FDA as a contractor, with Deloitte, and I am, yeah, as you mentioned, a support engineer, and I am supporting a project that is for CBER, Center for Biologic Evaluation and Research,
So does that have
and
to do with the vaccines, or is that
vaccine, yeah,
more
vaccines.
okay? So
Not
tell
not
me,
not just COVID vaccines, but any vaccine. So
any
yeah,
vaccines? Okay, so
yeah, yeah.
any vaccine program comes through your office, right?
Correct. So again, so I'm a contractor, and as part of this systems operations team, um, I am supporting the system that intakes some these vaccine, whether it be um, proposals or um, research or any correspondence that a company like Pfizer or Moderna needs to send to the FDA for review. They will submit to this system, and then this database system, our jobs as the support engineer is to uh, ensure that first that data is available, and also that content is accessible. So and in a timely manner. So um,
So I like
yeah,
Sister
yeah.
Brittany.
So that's kind of the role there. Just making sure that data is available to FDA reviewers, and um, if there are any issues with accessing it, then assist them in that.
So, actually, the way you kind of recited it to us almost kind of sounds like it's, almost, kind of not interesting. But when you think about vaccines, I can't imagine, any hotter topic than the topic of the day, and that is, people using vaccines, whether it's safe. I think kind of like there's a almost beyond that. I know this time last year, everybody was talking about, oh, if you don't take the vaccine, you're going to get fired, or and in fact, I think that even the mayor of Washington D.C. says that if the children don't get vaccinated here in Washington D.C., they can't go to school or can't even take remote classes. I think that's a unwise idea, because we can't afford any obstacles. We know how people who are not educated, and this is something we talked about our last podcast, the most of the children who are doing the violence inside of our communities are those children who literally dropped out of school for whatever reason. The people, not the people who are actually going to the class every day, but the people who, for whatever reason, family breakdown oftentimes is the cause of this, who are not in the schools. So if she is basically creating a blockade for parents for whatever reason, and some parents have valid reasons for not taking the vaccine. Then the question that and a challenge that I would ask her to come up with and her team is: so what are you going to do? What's the alternative? Are you going to provide something for the children to do while they're not in school? Because if you don't, you can pretty much guarantee where they're going to be, and that's going to be on the streets, basically, being menaces to the society. I mean, what do you think about that, Abby?
Mm, yeah, yeah. What I think that I don't have enough knowledge as far as in particular to the science aspect on the because I don't have a medical background. I'm coming from an IT perspective. I'm running on the data, but from what I can say is from at least as far as part of my faith allows me to um, lean on the scholars. What do you have? There's a concept of scholarly, consensus, and the scholarly consensus is that the vaccine is safe, and it's better than um, the alternative, which is not taking it and exposing yourself to um, potentially fatal side effects. So yeah,
Got it. And
yeah,
that's a very good perspective that you shared, and I think that's as you say, that's the safe approach to take. In terms of not basically interjecting your opinion necessarily, as an expert above somebody who is an expert. So I definitely get you there, and that's, again, that's interesting, and we'll see how that plays out in the district, and I hope that they come up with something. But let me ask you, going back to something that you may mention about what you would have done differently. You mentioned what you would have done differently in school. Tell me about your first jobs in the work area after you graduated, after the success after 10 years, as you mentioned, getting that degree. What did you do immediately, and what would you have done different?
So when I graduated in 2017, December, immediately I began searching for jobs. And actually, before then, I had been attending a lot of uh, career fairs and, trying to attend networking events before I graduated because I understood that it may be difficult when I graduate to find jobs. And I was not successful finding jobs. So I graduated in 2017, and I attended so many career fairs and job fairs and meeting with networking. And I did interview with some companies, and I just did not, I was not selected in a lot of these jobs. And it was disappointing. It was frustrating. It really was in a way deflating, but I continued, and I want to say in maybe when process continued until spring of 2018. um, I just I needed to do something, so I started working as a as a I delivered. I was like an Amazon Flex driver, so I would deliver packages to different customers. And then I would take different jobs. Like there was another job where I would deliver car parts with Parts Authority, was a contracting where I would car parts to different dealers. Um, so yeah, it wasn't that it paid much at all. It's just I wanted to get in the habit of working instead of sitting at home doing nothing. I mean, I wasn't doing nothing. I was applying, but just I wanted to feel like I was working and earning. So I would keep myself busy with that. Um, I would also, try to volunteer my time. I started volunteering at an organization at our local masjid, MCC, organization called CMA, Concerned Muslims of America. So they had some programs to help, you know, that like people in the community, for example, college scholarship for and a high school scholarship as well. And then also like they provide zakat and sadaqah to needy families. So I try to keep myself busy that way, and in the meantime continue studying, trying to improve my skills. I enrolled in an IT training class just as a refresher on help desk, and it was called Vets Group, and in DC. I found out this information from a family friend, and also through WorkSource Montgomery. They have these training facility opportunities with different organizations. So I began, going there on evenings and practicing studying for different certifications, particularly the CompTIA Plus. Uh, so, um, and so just keeping myself busy with that. By I wouldn't say November of 2018, I had I had also taken another course with Montgomery College, on cybersecurity as well, training. So actually, it started in earlier in that fall, I think September, but it completed in November. But I was taking that course in Security Plus training, and I continued to apply for jobs, and then I finally uh, found this job at the FDA, where I applied, and as a contractor for help desk uh, IT liaison, and I started that job in January 2019, and ever since then I've been at the FDA, and my role has grown over the years and months from that
That's
time.
actually a beautiful story, man. And I'd like to see, Abby, if you can kind of dissect that a little bit. What do you think was that which finally allowed you to kind of cross the threshold? You had gotten a degree, you had taken all these classes, you were networking with friends, as you said. What is it that actually allowed you to get your first job? If you would say, what was the one thing that, or maybe few things that helped you to get across that threshold?
Well, yeah, it's the dedicated training, right? I would say the dedicated training towards the skills, like whether it be um, and also the demonstrated ability of skills, like so whether it be the help desk, um, or like cybersecurity training. These, I would say, these two, and also continued you know you know um, assistance from, like, whether it be counselors or just encouragement from members of the community, just to continue applying yourself, updating your resume and practicing these interviews, and yeah, just overall developing yourself as a candidate, uh, and just that was more that was very important. And I think that's the thing in school. It's You have to switch gears a little bit in, um, going from a theoretical understanding of concepts to an application in a real world setting. And that was something that you need dedicated uh, time to learn, practice.
So let me ask you, I mean, going back, like how, like how different was your interview, if you will, at the FDA from when you first started applying? Like, what were you able to put on your resume, first of all, that allowed you to get to the interview, that you think kind of was different from when you started applying?
Well, I would say that the help desk experience was a big help, you know.
And so you said
be-
help desk experience, but I mean,
but it was
how
more
did
in a
you?
it was in a volunteering. I would say it was in a volunteer setting. I was not getting paid for that time when I was in the
Okay.
train
So
when I
you
was
so
training.
you were doing work as a volunteer
Yeah.
to basically be able to put that on your resume that you were working that area, huh?
Right. Yes. Yes.
That's very wise. That's very
Yeah.
wise.
And even when I took the role, when I first started the FDA, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like a salary that I would say that I was very, I was very happy with. I'm not go. I mean, we all start somewhere,
Right.
but I knew that, you know, I would say that salary was comparable to a salary that I would be making in a non-IT job, not
Right.
non-IT job. Yeah. So, you know, So, but I understood at that time. Hey, if I take this salary, if I take this job, it's an opportunity. And so if I take this and stay patient and keep working and improving my skills, I have an opportunity for growth here, more than I would in a comparable job or opportunity, a job that has a comparable salary.
Now,
So,
tell me
yeah.
what's the difference between, because I was talking to one of our our listeners on Instagram who is a developer of SharePoint. So she's a SharePoint developer. She's making a lot of money, like 6 figures. And then there's a help desk engineer, and there's a support desk engineer. And then there's a software engineer. For people who, let's say, are just coming out of programs like the ones you went into, what are the kind of the best tracks? Would you talk about with SharePoint, which I understand is kind of an HR based software product that some people are getting into and are making a lot of money, like one of our colleagues, Nunu, on our Instagram, making a lot of money there. But what do you suggest people do? What in terms of going immediately to the field is if you were going to give it advice to somebody who just like yourself coming out, what would you tell them they would to apply for? Which jobs should they apply for?
I would say I would definitely say training in cybersecurity would be probably the first thing that I would recommend. Just there is a strong need for professionals that have knowledge on cybersecurity principles, and you know, these days there are a lot of threats and vulnerabilities, and there's a concept that you're only as strong as your weakest link in an organization. So if and that comes from user education, so and especially employee education. So if I think that would be you know the area that I would recommend anyone that's just looking for a way to start into um, a way to get into IT and to focus on that area. And it's not a if someone does not have any coding experience, starting in this industry would not put you at a disadvantage, because there are although the coding is required, there's also a lot of policies that could be that are just as important, and understanding that uh, does not require coding knowledge, and also the coding knowledge is not it's not so difficult. I would say I know it may feel foreign or overwhelming to start. Yes, there is a learning curve, but consistent effort really goes a long way. Maybe just a day, a couple of maybe an hour a day, or 30 minutes to an hour a day, but just consistent effort. It's uh, if you put in the time, you will see results. Um, yeah, just like you know any other field, or any other effort in life, if you get what you put in. So if you put in the time, you will see the results, and you will be able to um, succeed in this field. Uh, it's really up to you. You have the ability. It's just a matter of setting your mind to it, and going after it.
I totally salute you. I was just telling our Instagram people, a story of one of our colleagues, actually, my wife, who was doing some good work in this area, and it's really interesting to see that this type of work, in terms of IT work, is something that can really change. It can change your whole condition, and I appreciate people doing that, and being able to make a difference. We got a call coming on, but I want to I can't do that while I'm on on live stream. So tell me about you though, in terms of the support engineer work. The support engineer work. What as a support engineer, do you do any coding, or is it primarily looking at software that people are using and then figuring out the solutions to the problems that they're experiencing? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it is a combination of both. Primarily, looking at, excuse me, um, yeah, just it's understanding this system, and also there is some coding involved as far as like a Python um, scripts that we have, and just developing it. Like for example, I recently uh, was working towards upgrading um, o- our Python because on a system that we use daily to the latest version. Um, because Python 2 was end of life, and so just um, and as part of that upgrade, there had to be some code changes to the scripts because there's some um, functions in Python 2 that are not supported in Python 3, and then just updating those scripts uh, before deploying um, the final version. So and we have change management requests. You know that we go through the cycle of development, test, pre-prod, and then prod. So um, so yeah, so there's also like for some systems um, we have some Oracle forms that need to be updated. So developing some of the scripts there. A lot of these systems uh, are legacy systems, so I'm part of a team that is in the process of modernizing those systems to so identifying some operational gaps that and in order to do so, just reading through the scripts and identifying the logic of those scripts and how to improve them. That's part of my role. And then also, as I mentioned earlier, uh, the support engineer part is, we have several users in our environment that, and the users are, at the FDA, the clients, you know, we uh, we as and my part of my job is to support them in accessing the data and also being able to review their data in a timely manner. Uh, and they may have any a number of requests on how to. So it's part of my job is to support them in accessing the data in a timely manner. So that's the support part, and overall um, just maintaining um, maintaining the systems so that there if there's any downtime that it's minimized uh, and causes of downtime could be a number of things, whether it be network or uh, or otherwise. Um, yeah, my role is to support throughout.
Abby, sorry about that, man. You gave a real good you know, beautiful rundown on what it is that you did and how to go. And I've been basically making notes about that and how, again, how people can get themselves, in there, because a lot of people, they don't know and they want to be able to get into these six-figure jobs, and you're breaking it down. You know what I mean? A lot of, it's almost kind of like, you think, oh, just go, graduate and you get it, but it's not. That's not the case. You know what I mean? You got to put in work, as you said. You got to, take jobs that you don't necessarily think are the ones that are paying what you should be getting at first, and then you got to, basically live under the radar, if you will, until you kind of, build up, and then you can, kind of share what you've learned, and that's what you've done today. And man, I really, really appreciate what you've done today. Let me ask you, going back, and again, we don't want if there is anybody who has any questions, don't hesitate to put there. But can you tell me what are, you now in this position? What are your goals? What do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years from here?
So, I'm particularly interested in artificial intelligence and machine learning, and this technology, uh, primarily just, uh, you know, finding ways to um, make uh, make things easier for us as humans, as well, with developing systems that assist and are that you know are try to eliminate any biases that a machine may have. And so I do, um, this is and in my role now, starting to look into these technologies, particularly data science, um, and my goal is to continue in this and to being able to implement real change through data, and understanding how to um, how to do so in a proficient level. So yeah, um, that's my goal, particular, and I do have quite a bit of um, uh, that's from the professional standpoint, my goal there. But in my personal, I do would like to continue working so that I take care of some of my f- family needs, and also I do have some student loan debt that I'd like to um, take care of as well. So just staying focused on those things so that I can be successful. Yeah.
So I guess you're going to be applying for the 10 to $20,000 in student loan debt, that is coming down the pike. I don't know how much more that would leave you with, but I guess every amount would probably be good at slicing away what you have. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I actually was a Pell Grant recipient, so I mean, I should be eligible for I'm hoping the maximum. I'm hoping, but yeah, it would definitely help. Although it would not eliminate all my student debt. Something is better than nothing. I'll definitely take it. I don't know if there's an application process. It doesn't seem to be so anything there yet from what I've seen, but I would definitely be pursuing.
So, it's funny because since a lot of people don't know about that, I'll go over it. Um, that in terms of, how do you provide for, so basically anybody who got 20,000, up to 20,000 in debt, it provides up to 20,000 of debt relief for anybody who was eligible for the, with the Pell Grant. Um, and 10,000 in debt cancellation for non-Pell Grant recipients. So the question is uh, the how to actually apply, as you said, right? Uh, and and that's something that I don't know actually at this point how people apply, but the question is how do we get that information out about that? So it said basically borrowers can sign up to be notified when this information is available. So I'm going to boom, I'm going to put here in the chat some information so people don't miss out, because oftentimes that's what happens. People miss out on the debt relief. So I put it in our chat, and in the YouTube, and I'll also try to share it with the Instagram family, because I think that people need to definitely take advantage of it. Although I'm like some who believe that they should have just forgiven all of the student debt. Why not? Help all the those who have been struggling for years to just have a clean slate. The money is still going to go back into the economy. You know what I mean? The debtors will get their money from the federal government, but the people who are paying, instead of paying student loans, they'll be building homes, or doing other things. So again, I think it's a win-win. But going back to your plans, let me ask you this: if you look at your career, and you think about the um, kind of and I know you're still kind of new in your career, but what are some of the best projects that you've worked on? What is like something that you helped to support, or you accomplished yourself, that was that you can like really feel good about? Can you share something like that with us?
Sure. I can say that, yeah, in my current role, early on, when the COVID vaccine was when the several vaccines were uh, became available, we have this reporting system, the VAERS Adverse Event Reporting System. This is one of the systems that we manage. So we take in data from any entry into that reporting system. And early on, I believe there was some report. There were a few reports of adverse reactions to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and you know our ability to manage that, uh, those submissions, that data that we provided and was available to FDA reviewers, allowed them to make a decision to put a pause on that, on an administration of that vaccine, to stop the potential deaths of others. There were some reported, but ours, our ability to provide the data in a timely manner to the reviewers on the FDA side enabled them to make a quick decision to halt the production and administration of that particular vaccine until further work was done there. So uh, I think that it could, that would be the most meaningful that I've project that I had worked on, as far as you know, real world impact. And yeah, in a way, you know, in a way, working with this data, we are frontline workers. I'm not trying to diminish the work that the doctors and the nurses and those in the medical profession and others perform on a day-to-day basis, especially during the height of COVID. But during those times, um, you know, I, you know, you know, it was vital that that information was available on time. And often I would be working, off hours. Sometimes late into the night, just to ensure that data was available. So that would I would say would be the most rewarding work that I've done, I hope that I have other opportunities to provide and serve.
Well, I think that's an amazing story, and as we talked about at the beginning, we hope that late nights are not again the standard, because I definitely think that you can work in a way where you're not depriving your body, you're not depriving your family, and you're not depriving the Almighty of the rights that are due in exchange for your work. And that's something I've made a mistake about, that I'm seeking to change my life. And I hope that everybody who's listening, that this kind of is the theme of the conversation today, is being able to do good and at the same time do well. Making money, hopefully good money, and at the same time being able to serve the Almighty. The money that you have is from Him anyway, but using that time that you have. Everybody's only has 24 hours. A rich man and a poor man, 24 hours. So the question is, how are you going to use your 24 hours? How are you going to divide up that 24 hours between the work that you do to perhaps bring in money, and then spending the time with your family? And that's something that, again, I've made a mistake about, and I don't want anybody else to go down that same path. And I hope that you will be able to succeed and be able to have a beautiful career, and at the same time have a beautiful family, and not say, oh, okay, I got this money, but I don't have anybody to share it with, and that's something that, I see, or have a lot of money and even have family, but have no connection to Allah, because you stop giving, the Almighty the rights, such as prayer and and other things that we should be doing, sharing, in terms of charity and other things that we should be doing. So again, Abby, this has been an extremely, beautiful conversation, brother. I really appreciate you taking your time. I know it's taken us almost a whole summer, because you're a busy person, to get you on the podcast, but I really, really salute you for taking your time. I'll just ask you, would you be willing to be one of our mentors and coaches for our upcoming hackathon? I mean, you are, because you're a STEM4US partner, you're a $25 monthly partner. You're going to get free tickets to the event. But would you be willing to help us to spread the word about this, and to be able to support some of our young people who would love just to be able to hear the story that you shared with us today?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be available. Just yeah, I think I saw your invite on that, so definitely that would be good.
Absolutely. So this is the I put the link there on the on the chat. So definitely go ahead and do that. And I'll be looking forward to having everybody join us at the STEM4US Cyber Summit during the Congressional Black Caucus Week. We're going to be having it in person for the first time in 2 years. And also, we're going to be having, again, a online hackathon for young people. Go ahead and sign up right now. And I see that Nunu, and I want to definitely let you guys know that it takes hard work, like Abby said. But the work that you do, you have to do it in a balanced way. Don't, for example, work so hard that you're late for your wife's beautiful cooking, or work so hard that you don't take time to go and play with her, or work so hard that you don't take time for your children, and mentor them in the right way. You work so hard that you don't even go out and spend time walking in the park. So walking in the park, for example, costs no money. We often say, oh, we don't have money to do this, don't have the money. You can at least go and walk in the park. You know what I mean? You can have a meal, bring a little basket of food. Go and play tennis, go run, play soccer with your wife. You know what I mean? The Prophet, as you know, used to literally race his wife. And these are the things that we have made a mistake about. I made a mistake. But 35 years, brother, I've been working. My motto was, I'm not going to let anybody beat me in work. And yet I've deprived myself, and I've deprived my families. I'm not doing that anymore. You know what I mean? after, I can tell you sadly, multiple multiple failed marriages, that's over for me. I've got a new leaf, and I'm so grateful that the Almighty blessed me with it. And my plan now is to enjoy my family. You know what I mean? And enjoy my work, because I'm only going to work. You know what I mean? At the times that I'm supposed to be working, and I'm going to sleep at the time I'm supposed to be sleeping, and I'm going to eat at the time I'm supposed to be eating, and I'm going to work out at the time I'm supposed to be working out. You know what I mean? But all this, stuff, wanting to be the hardest worker, thinking that was actually going to be helping and actually serving our family and serving Allah, was a mistake. It was only a trick by Shaitan. And I'm so glad, it's taken me, as my wife used to say, I'm old at 52, but it's taken me 52 years to figure that out. But hopefully you, Abby, and everybody who's listening to that, it won't take you 52 years to learn those secrets of life.
Yes, brother. Yeah, that's that. I thank you for sharing that. Yeah, because we could definitely benefit from that. I just I do have that mentality where it's like and you know you work hard, and that's the reason why you're able to move up, that upwards mobility. So do you feel like you have that attitude now that you have gotten to a certain level, or do you
Yeah.
feel like
Well, what I
do you
feel is
feel
that
like
we're
you would have gotten to that level if you had that same mentality?
I think I would have been higher had I not blown, like, the marriages that I've had, because I caused myself to work so long late, and come to appointments late, and basically not give my family the time that I should have given them. I would have been even more successful than I am right now. I'm nowhere. I'm nowhere. Literally, I'm nowhere compared to where I think I could have been. And you know what? Because it's not your work that's actually determinative. It's the Almighty's favor upon you. You don't have to work for anything. And if the Almighty has chosen you to have money, He will give you money. You know what I mean? And you can work, until can't see from the day to can't see at night, and the Almighty will give you nothing. Compared to what you should be getting. So the lesson that I want to share today is balance, man. Be balanced. Don't think that by you working is going to basically push you up the ladder. No, you got to do your part. Don't get me wrong, but your work in this like a war. Your work is like giving everything their right, everything their balance. There's a saying in the Quran. Haqqatullahi haqqatuqatihi. Haqqatullah, give the Almighty His rights, and wala tamutuna illa wa antum muslimin, and don't die in a state of imbalance. The Almighty has told us the secret. You know what I mean? And yet we don't listen. And so that's the story for that. I think we're over. I'm not gonna go over, because that'll be imbalanced. We're ending this podcast, and we thank the Almighty for blessing us to have Abby. We thank Him for having you all. If you support this message, you want your children to be able to benefit from this networking and the mentoring of people like Abby, go on to STEM4US. Click on the hackathon link, register, and become one of our partners. We need your help, and we look forward to having more outstanding conversations like this today. Abby, have a wonderful day. And in the Arabic word, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And you as well. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Abby? Abby, can you hear me?